Stuart Fails spinoff confirms we won't see many original TBBT characters, and I'm glad. The news that Stuart Fails, the upcoming Big Bang Theory spinoff centered on Stuart Bloom, won't feature many returning characters from the original series has sparked a wave of surprise, curiosity, and, unexpectedly, relief. While nostalgia often drives sitcom revivals, the decision to scale back on familiar faces may be the smartest creative move this new show could make. Stuart is a character who, for 12 seasons, lived in the shadow of the core friend group. Now, at long last, he has the chance to step out from behind the register at the comic book store and anchor a story of his own. And to do that successfully, the spin-off needs freedom, not cameos. Stuart Bloom has always been one of the Big Bang Theory's most peculiar creations, a character who evolved from a quiet, occasionally suave rival to Leonard into a hilariously defeated, frequently unlucky, and painfully relatable oddball. Kevin Sussman's performance transformed Stuart into a fan favorite, but he was never given the full spotlight. He floated at the edges of the show, providing sardonic commentary, awkward humor, and the occasional gut punch of pathos. The original show's ensemble was simply too huge and too deeply developed to allow Stuart the character growth he deserved. That's why the announcement that Stuart Fails will minimize appearances from Sheldon, Leonard, Penny, and the rest isn't a downgrade, it's liberation. For the first time, Stuart isn't the punchline. He's the protagonist. A spin-off rooted in Stuart's voice, not TBBT's shadow. Many sitcom spin-offs falter when they lean too heavily on their parent series. They may have new settings and supporting characters, but they still feel like satellites orbiting an older show, never bold enough to define themselves. Stuart Fails appears determined to avoid that trap. By limiting the presence of original cast members, the show can develop its own tone, humor, and emotional rhythms. Stuart may come from the Big Bang Theory, but he isn't Leonard 2.0 or Raj with worse luck. His comedic flavor is darker, drier, and more self-deprecating than the brightly energetic chaos of Sheldon and Friends. A spin-off built around him shouldn't simply replicate the old series. It should amplify everything unique about him. And the freed-up storytelling space makes that possible. Stuart can explore relationships, failures, and ambitions without a constant comparison to the more successful, more polished original characters. The series can build a new ensemble around him, a group of characters whose lives intersect with his in meaningful ways beyond occasional customer at the comic book shop. That's something TBBT never truly attempted. Stuart works best without the entire gang hovering over him. Another reason this creative choice works is simple. The original cast is too big and too iconic. A spin-off weighed down by regular cameos would collapse under the pressure. Imagine a scenario where Leonard and Penny drop in every few episodes, Sheldon calls with long-distance advice, Raj swings by to complain about his love life, or Howard shows up to remember the days when Stuart babysat his kids. Amusing? Maybe. But it also risks turning the spin-off into a rotating reunion instead of a functional sitcom. Cameos should be treats, not crutches. Besides, when those legacy characters appear, they inevitably steal the spotlight. Kaylee Cuoco, Jim Parsons, Johnny Galecki, and the rest are simply too recognizable, too beloved, and too narratively dominant to be just another character on Stuart's show. Their presence would overshadow the very thing Stuart Fails is supposed to highlight: Stuart's journey. Without them, the writers can finally give Stuart the arc he never received, one that doesn't end with him sleeping in Howard's jacuzzi or getting locked out of his own store. The Big Bang Theory's ensemble already had closure. There's also a thematic reason we don't need the original characters regularly appearing. Their stories are complete. The Big Bang Theory finale wrapped up the journeys of Sheldon, Leonard, Penny, Howard, Bernadette, Amy, and Raj with impressive finality. They got marriages, career breakthroughs, personal victories, and emotional growth. They tied bows on nearly every long-running conflict. Stuart was the outlier, the lingering question mark. His arc at the end of the original series hinted at stability and hope. His relationship with Denise, the success of the remodeled comic book shop, and his finally emerging confidence. But we never learned how far he could go if given the emotional resources and screen time to grow. Stuart Fails is poised to continue that narrative, not reopen stories the main cast already finished. Bringing the gang back too often would risk undoing character growth or breaking continuity just for the sake of a punchline. New supporting characters are essential and more interesting. For a character like Stuart, half the fun comes from placing him in unusual social ecosystems. In The Big Bang Theory, he occupied a weird niche: friend, employee, roommate, rival, babysitter, and sometimes charity case. But those roles didn't allow him to build meaningful relationships outside of the core cast. His world was small. A standalone show can expand that world exponentially. We might meet eccentric artists, struggling shop owners, customers who bond with Stuart, other lonely souls trying to find belonging, or even new romantic entanglements that push him in unexpected directions. He could mentor younger geeks, clash with rival stores, navigate adult friendships, or reinvent himself entirely. A new ensemble gives Stuart a chance to grow up instead of simply growing around the main cast. Sometimes creative evolution requires new voices, not recycled ones. Stuart has always been the audience's reflective mirror. The most compelling aspect of Stuart's character is that he represented something TBBT's main cast rarely did: vulnerability. Leonard complained, Sheldon panicked, Raj spiraled, and Howard bragged, but Stuart quietly unraveled. He faced loneliness, unemployment, depression, and failure in ways that were surprisingly real for a sitcom. And yet, that pain was wrapped in gentle humor that never felt cruel. Stuart Fails has the opportunity to explore those themes more deeply and more respectfully than the original show could afford to. Modern sitcoms thrive on characters who feel authentic in their struggles. Shows like Abbott Elementary, BoJack Horseman, or Atlanta have proven that humor blended with emotional truth resonates with audiences. Letting Stuart carry a show by himself allows those very human qualities to shine. Crowding the series with constant TBBT cameos would distract from that emotional core. We'll always have the occasional surprise, and that's enough. The creators have hinted that cameos may still happen on rare, carefully chosen occasions. And that's exactly the right balance. A well-timed appearance, maybe Sheldon calling to order something obscure, Raj visiting for a comic book signing, or Penny stumbling into the shop, can offer fans a thrill without overwhelming the show. But those moments should feel like guest spots, not the point of the spinoff. The absence of frequent cameos ensures that when they do happen, they'll matter. They'll feel like reunions, not obligations. Why I'm glad the spinoff is taking this direction. At its heart, the decision reflects confidence. Confidence in Stuart as a character and in the writer's ability to craft something new from familiar roots. The Big Bang Theory universe doesn't need another nostalgia-driven victory lap. It needs fresh takes on the quirky, messy, heartfelt humor that defined its best moments. And Stuart is the perfect vehicle for that. He's awkward without being grating, sad without being bleak, funny without being repetitive, kind without being naive. For years, he was the guy who couldn't quite get his life together. Now we get to see him try, fail, try again, fail differently, and maybe, just maybe, find something resembling happiness. A Stuart-focused show that isn't weighed down by constant references or returning stars is free to be weird, tender, unpredictable, and self-contained. As a longtime TBBT fan, I don't just accept the absence of most original characters, I welcome it.